Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest. We're not disputing that, Cassius, but how does Sonny Liston feel about it? He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
Yo, 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 yo. What's up? What's up? What's up? YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You know. Happy Friday. Glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. It's good to be here with you guys again. I hope all is well. Shout outs to my poets, my writers, producers, musicians. You know who you are. Much love. Hats off to you. Keep doing your thing. To everybody who pulled up earlier, shout outs to y'all, man. That was a hell of a show. I appreciate everybody who took time out of their day to be present for that conversation. I got Sydney in the building. I got a clip here that I'm going to play. My condolences to everybody involved in this particular situation. I never advocate for this senselessness. Sydney, what's going on?
Hello. How are you doing?
I am okay. I am okay.
It's been one of those days.
Yep.
Feel you there. One of those woke up late to the house being a mess and have a bunch of stuff to do. Like, kids, man. They destroy the house in like 5 hours.
That's all it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to reset.
Yep.
And then
every morning.
Yeah.
It's either wake up early or have a disaster house.
Like Jigsaw says, make your choice.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh man, I don't know if you heard about this, but
not yet.
Yeah, it just came across my desk. I mean, social media and all, you gotta love it. Instagram lately for the last couple of weeks is they've been showing me nothing but violence, hate, pure just evil. I just uploaded a short And I'm gonna end up spinning back on that one probably tomorrow. I don't know. It's like, when does it stop, man? But yeah, this guy here, I guess he was a stalker. He didn't know how to take no for an answer, or like he just had a hard time letting go or something. I don't really know the particulars, but this gentleman was clearly stalking his ex, and well, things went left. She called law enforcement to help her out, and it didn't really turn out the way that anybody expected it. But I'm gonna bring this up on a big screen. I'm gonna let it run just for anybody who's not familiar with this particular story, and get your initial thoughts on it. Let's run the tape.
Authorities identified the suspect, 24-year-old Matthew James Ruth, as the man who opened fire, killing 3 police officers and critically injuring 2 before being shot dead. Tonight, the officers killed have been named: Sergeant Cody Becker, Detective Mark Baker, and Detective Isaiah Emenheiser.
Each of these men represented the very best of policing.
The district attorney says the ambush lasted 2 minutes. The officers had been searching for the suspect inside the Pennsylvania home of his ex-girlfriend and her family, who had already left the scene for their safety.
Detective Emenheiser discovered that the door was unlocked. Immediately opening the door, the actor repeatedly fired at the officers with multiple rounds from an AR-15 styled rifle. All 4 detectives went down.
The firefight continued outside, where police say Ruth shot a deputy sheriff.
An eyewitness says he saw police searching that barn. All of a sudden, he heard shots fired. You can see there the blood-soaked pavement. Fire officials have just arrived to clean it up.
Authorities say police had been searching for Ruth. According to court documents, Ruth's ex-girlfriend and her mom called police the night before, saying she saw Ruth in the driveway, armed with an AR-15 style rifle slung across his chest and dressed in camouflage, looking into her window with binoculars, adding she suspected him of setting her pickup truck on fire the month before. The horrific attack in a quiet farming community.
It's terrible, and what are you going to do? Never go out. You can't do that.
As the community struggles to make sense of yet another senseless act of gun violence.
We got another case of a bitter ex. I don't know if you want to attribute this to, well, what's your initial thoughts?
First of all, I was reading through that he also shot one of the officer's dogs as well. And the other thing was when I was reading this article, I guess I didn't look at the title or pay attention to the title. And I was reading through this, and the whole time I was imagining like a middle-aged man, like 40 or like 50, maybe 60 years old. And then I scroll back up and I'm like, 24. Wow. That's crazy. It makes me think of the fact that I have seen, I don't know if it's just because I haven't been alive for that long, technically. I don't know if it's just because of my perception, but it seems like the rise in youth violence is going up. Like, I remember, I guess, some of the incidences that I remember when I was younger, usually it seemed like they were over 18 at least. And, like, violent crimes were usually, like, older people. But now it seems like we have a lot more young and teenaged individuals. And as I keep bringing up, we've even had, like, 6, 7, 8-year-olds have gun standoffs with police.
I don't understand how do you get so bad, so lost for life? You willing to throw away everything over something that just isn't going to work out? Mental health, I keep saying we need to put more respect on that. We need to be more honest with our intentions with people, and more cautious about the type of individuals we decide to entertain throughout our life. Do you think you're just going to be a passerby, or this is just going to be a season? That's not how it really works with a lot of folks. Some people are way more invested than they should be. Some people just don't take rejection well. Some folks, when you meet them, they give you this illusion that they're a person that they really aren't, and then you find out within the relationship that is a lot more hostile than you could have imagined it being, and now you're so involved in it, it's harder to get out. The youth part that you address, I do think that that's a big component to it. I don't think a lot of children are raised with the same levels of respect
or attention.
Yeah. Like what I was saying earlier with this 13-year-old girl. What does a 13-year-old girl have? Why does she have access to rappers? Why does she have access to any adult outside of your family or outside of school or anything of that nature? The level of idolatry, the fact that this child could have a relationship at 13, 12 years old with a rapper, and nobody seems to have a problem with it or see or recognize the red flags. It's alarming. It really bothers me. And the only reason I bring that up is to say this man clearly has some issues. How is it that her and this man get to the point to where she has to call the authorities on them? Stalking, like I know it happens. I know a lot of women report this. I guess what I'm getting at is, why do you pick dudes like this?
I think sometimes they don't realize, like, because a lot of those guys, they act all smooth and like either they're like really gentlemanly, like, oh, I'm gonna lavish you with gifts and take you out to dinner and all this stuff. So it detracts from their real personality. But after the honeymoon phase disappears, then that's when the real personality starts to come out. Like as they start to spend more and more time together, she will start to see him in different situations and how he acts in those different situations.
Do you think it's all right? You're a woman, so maybe you can help me out here. Because I got a lot of backlash for a post that I made on TikTok. Like, people are still arguing. They're not even. I'm gonna tell y'all, I don't know if anybody is from over there. You're not arguing with me. You're arguing with yourself. And you're arguing with other people in the comment section. I'm just looking at y'all post, like I see our comments pop up on my screen, and I'm just laughing at it because, like, you say you got this maternal instinct, or like your intuition is like 99.9% accurate. So if that's true, wouldn't you be able to discern if someone is trying to finesse you? Wouldn't you be able to tell if a person is just sweet talking you and they're just telling you whatever you want to hear? I mean, if you're so accurate in your assessment and judgment of character, then you above anybody with your excellent, exceptional queendom should be able to dispel all possible threats and dangers that come your way. Surely. Help me out. Help me figure this one out. This is not new. This is a story that happens all year around. Someone can't handle letting the other person go. You can't stand to see them with anybody else. You can't stand the fact that maybe you were the problem. Maybe you can't sit there and say, "Oh, maybe I need to work on some stuff. I'm abusive. I'm psychologically, emotionally, and physically damaging someone that I care about. That's not natural. I need to check myself in somewhere. I need to go to a therapist. I don't need to be in general population. Maybe I need to seclude myself. There's something wrong with me. Something wrong with my attitude. Something wrong with the way I treat men and women. This isn't normal behavior."
Yeah, it's also telling that, like, there's a difference between people that they've done something wrong but they still respect. Oh my god, I need to move this forward. Okay. They need to respect, they know that they need to respect the officers, and even though they're getting arrested for something they're embarrassed about or scared about or whatever, they still don't fight the officers. They still cooperate and act normally. The fact that he, in front of many officers, just did all of that gives a lot of insight into what is going on in his head. Part of what I think might be affecting him just is his youth, because generally, like, kids between 14 or sometimes even as young as like 11, 12, up to 25 technically, they don't have a full understanding of the world yet in an emotional sense. They still haven't, it's like riding a bike where it takes time, except it takes years and years instead of just a couple months. But you still have to take the time to learn and develop the skills to control your emotions, to develop restraint when you're feeling really difficult emotions, because a lot of people who have emotional immaturity basically have the perspective of, because I'm feeling this emotion, I have to show it. I have to also represent the intensity of my emotions in my behavior. And that is something, unfortunately, that is usually developed by parents. How you were raised is usually how you emotionally develop. So unfortunately, I think a huge component of this is the parenting. And it's either two cases. There are rare occasions when it is actually like truly mental illness and they were good parents and stuff like that. But generally, you have the abusive parents, and so these children end up becoming violent and angry and lash out at people, which it seems like that possibly could be a part of it. But neglect is what I think contributed to his case. Neglect, when a mother or father, but very strong with mother, neglects her child, depending on how long that happens, that child will internalize that, and basically he or she will always, until they face it themselves and do their own like therapy and stuff, they will always have that sensation that they need to make everyone love them. They feel like no one will ever love them. They'll feel like they're alone in the world, or they'll feel like they need to like disappear and not participate in the world because it's like too stressful for them to manage. So I imagine that probably is a component where possibly his mother and possibly his parents weren't like fully present for him in his life. Like maybe they were both working parents, maybe they were both just like off doing their thing. We don't know, but I suspect it is based on like what he's showing. Because people who get obsessive in relationships very, very, very often have parental trauma. And just the way he acted, I would suspect more of the like lack of attention because of the fact that he had these weapons. And I would like, I want to look more into his history possibly to see what he was like as a kid, because that could also be telling, like whether his parents allowed this earlier or if this is just something like, cool, now I'm 18, now I'm gonna buy my weapons.
The older I got, the more I take a self-awareness check about everybody that I've ever come across, what my interactions were like with each individual and separately from the group, a part of the group, whether it was a friendship situation, or maybe it was a business situation, or it was a romantic situation. I like to evaluate my personality around a variety of people. Am I the same way with this person? Is there physiological changes? Does my character change? Does my mood alter? Am I more bright? Am I more cheerful? Am I more passive? Am I like a number of different things go off in my head? I'm thinking about everybody, and not for nobody else's entertainment or to give any consolation to folks that I might have did wrong or right. It's about really figuring out, all right, this is who I am today, but are there things about me from 20 years ago or 15 or 10 years ago that I continuously keep with me that might be a issue that I need to look into more and deal with? Because like the way that you can word a situation or talk to somebody, your tone and your pitch, the choice of wording within the sentence, we talk about context all the time. It can really do some real damage if you're not really a socially aware person. It starts with you. And that's why I'm like, at this particular point in 2025, we're still seeing a plethora of men and women crashing out, going to jail and dying in these relationships. And it's like, do these people really know the value of their life? Do they know that what they're embarking on is probably temporary? That maybe, just maybe, everything that you are welcoming into your world is probably not supposed to be there anyway. And something about you is restricting you from operating at full capacity, where you don't get angry and trip over the most minute stuff. You're not constantly flipping out and snapping and ready to shoot up schools and cuss people out because you know how to regulate properly. Now, what you said, I absolutely understand why you would want to dig deeper into his background. That's why I opened up with my response and saying, look, I do that shit all the time. Like the way that you're probably looking for information on him, I do this with myself all the time. Because one, I want to be better on the mic. I want to be better at my presentation and my future endeavors with folks that I probably never expected to work with. You are constantly trying to improve and get better. So, yeah, I agree. I think a lot of his upbringing has something to do with what happened here.
I would not be surprised if we see an uptick in violence in the future, solely for the reason that parents aren't present for their child and spend the majority of their time on their own devices. And then also the fact that not at all faulting parents, I definitely understand the situation that would require that, but when children are in daycare all the time and don't really get a lot of time with their parents, because it's like they get up for work, they send their kid to daycare, and then they come pick them up and they go to bed. A lot of these kids are not getting the full attention that a child truly needs. And so we're going to have a lot of kids growing up feeling like they aren't worth it, that they need others to love them, that they need to people please, that they need to buy love, that they need to just settle for any love that they get. Like a lot of these things, like there's a lot of science connecting your relationship with your parents to the relationship you end up having when you're older. There are lucky cases where you have a difficult lifestyle and you do find somebody that's very decent. But the worse a life that you've had, the less of a chance that you're going to end up with a partner that's safe or kind to you. As I said, there are exceptions, but generally that's what the data shows. Additionally, the worse you grew up as well, the more likely you are to get a divorce. So yeah, there's a lot of different connections to parenthood, childhood and what your parents have done. There's links to crimes, there's links to violence, there's links to C abuse and spousal abuse and and this type of stuff, even like self-harm, suicide, and that type of stuff. People really, really underestimate the impact that parents have on their children. And I think we're kind of getting to a point where it's coming to a head because we're starting to see it in even adults. Like we clearly, like we have adults that are not able to manage their emotions and are not able to mentally cope with the idea that someone no longer wants to be in a relationship with them. That obsessive behavior is triggered by that type of thinking that, what do you mean you don't love me? Like, you have to love me. You have to stay here because I can't emotionally cope without you.
You know what's funny? Like, when I was a kid, I had grandparents as an example. So we got to be honest. A lot of our interactions are carbon copies of what we saw in the house. Takes a long time to peel them layers back and say, my aunt used to act like this. My sister act like this. My uncle act like this. People coming in and out. We don't see them but every couple months. Oh, that's where I get that from. You got a sarcastic mouth. You're codependent. Oh, I get that from this person because when I was 6 to 8 years old, I used to see them with random people. You introduce me to one person, 2 weeks later, you're with somebody else. Ah, that's why I'm like this. No one wants to take accountability for the negative characteristics that they pick up. Sometimes they're not complimentary. I want to let me target that part real quick. Every characteristic that you pick up from a friend or a family member is not complimentary to you. In fact, I would argue it wasn't complimentary to them either. They just kind of accepted it and embraced it for what it was. Like you'll think that that's a boost up or a accolade or something to be proud of. It's really not. That can really be a negative and a strike on you. When your loved ones tell you to keep their name alive and they live in your heart, I'm not thinking I'm not supposed to be holding on to your attitude, your anger issues. I'm not associating you wanting me to keep your memory alive with the ugly nature that was inherited in your upbringing and passing that on myself. I think there's a spiritual filtering system that is necessary. And I'm just making up a word. But to get into any type of relationship with anybody, if it's romantic or not, you must be honest with yourself. This dude right here, I don't believe he's truly ever been honest with himself. And maybe he has been honest with himself, and maybe he's not happy with who he is. Who knows? He went to an extent that someone who is not spiritually or emotionally settled within themselves won't go. When a person is not 1000% forged and confident in who they are reckless, they are childish, they are impatient, they're unmoldable, they're unteachable. You can't have conversations with them. They don't like critique. They don't know the difference between being honest and withholding information. They don't know the difference in regulating, observing. Like folks who have this misguided idea of what an adult is supposed to be comprised of, like the elements that go into it. Some of y'all don't even have the fundamentals down pat. And this right here is clear he didn't. Me personally, that's my observation. The dude has always been like that. It's just worse now. I use the mic.
I also wonder what his partner was like and how much he contributed to it. Because just from my own like understanding of psychology and what I've seen on the internet and all of those wonderful videos of couples gone wild, it seems like there's usually three types of couples. Maybe. Okay, I'm thinking of a bunch of different categories, but when a partner is dominant, abusive, whatever he is on the spectrum, but is kind of overlording over his partner. I guess I'll just use gender neutral because it could be male or female. There are circumstances where the female is like the one that controls everything. But when there's the partner that is being suppressed, they're either going to shrink and allow that to happen, or they're going to fight back. And generally, with somebody like they were either going to contribute to each other by fighting and arguing and like nitpicking at each other and being like annoying and nasty and stuff. Whereas the person that's going to shrink back is going to, every time they get yelled at, they're going to say, okay, sure. They're not going to argue. They're not going to do anything. So I do wonder what his girlfriend was like, because that could also give a good indication of what his mindset might have been, like what problems he might have been going through, what his reasoning behind his obsession was. And I also wonder if there was a third partner that she had her eye on or she was moving towards, and if there was like a jealousy component to this as well.
You know what I often ask myself randomly? Are these people in situations where both are spiritually yoked in a bondage setting? Like you're both in a hell of a lot of, like you've accumulated a lot of sin in your life, and you're carrying a bunch of weighted iniquity, and that's just how y'all found each other? Or is it one person is clean and they get ensnared by someone who is weighted down with the world, and then you have like this disaster of one person is trying to keep what purity they have while trying to get you out of what you're in? Or is it more or less you just got two people who are living exactly, because if you're equally yoked, you're not going to have these type of conversations. We're not going to see stuff like this on the news. People who are equally yoked, even if they fail to survive the relationship, it never comes to these extremes. But for the most part, anybody who is really in divine order and walking that line the way that they should be, they don't have these type of issues. So to me, it's like, all right, it's either you got good men and women trying to save and pull people out of their mess when that's not for you to mess with, and you're stepping out of your walk, getting involved in something that is spiritually not for you, or you're just both disasters, constantly pulling together like magnets. How else could it possibly be? And that just goes back to what you were saying about, I wonder what type of woman she is. Is she A or B? What do you say to somebody who's doing all of this hard work, they're literally not in the wrong. They're not. It's not like they're purposely coming to destroy anyone. But they see they got a project. They got something on their plate that they know ain't good for them, but they still play around with it anyway. What do you say to them? Like I said on the T-App stream, y'all need to stay the hell away from people. Go to your own island and be with the mischiefs. Stay over there with everybody else that wants to be problematic. That way, you ain't harming nobody, but people that are reflections of yourself. I don't know who she was. For all I know, she could be the boogeyman. She could have drove him over the edge. Not even saying what he did was acceptable at all, but there's a root cause. There's a point A and point B. We got here somehow. Was this all on him? Or did she partake in the ultimate demise and tragic ending of these officers? It's one of the
Another factor too is his education, because if you see his background, like what he was like in school, whether he's able to finish what he did, it could also give kind of clues into whether he had mental illness or whether this is just pure obsession, because you can be like spontaneously violent out of emotional turmoil without having a history of mental illness, but it's generally not the case. Usually you kind of have to have previous episodes with mental illness because it will show up young. It'll show up young and then it will start to build as they get older, and usually it escalates around puberty because the mixture of hormones going on in the body and them experiencing that for the first time can be really disorienting, and it can cause a lot of emotional problems. It can cause like rage, it can cause just frustration and anger, like low tolerance for frustration. It can make them more like antisocial. There's a whole range of symptoms of the hormones coming into the body. So I mean, he's obviously past that point, but if you look to those time periods, you could also see indications if this was something that was developing, or if, as I said, this was just one incident that he just had no emotional control and lost his mind.
I don't know. I don't think this is the way that they described it is like you have been here before, not in the same aggressive nature, but you've shown patterns or the potential within you to do things to this extreme. If I hear you yell more than a few times, I'm going to already just say you probably don't have the greatest control over your temper.
I forgot he also set her car on fire too.
All it takes is a few conversations with a person, see how they are around people in general, and surmise from that what you want. I believe he is pretty much telling everybody who he is. Nobody's really paying much attention to it. And it just got worse and worse and worse the older he got. I can see the evolution. weird because some people, they'll start out innocent and then the world will get to you and then rip you a new one, and you'll be something that you never thought you'd ever be in life. In this case, I think this dude, he just kind of evolved into this. You don't just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I'm gonna stalk, and I'm gonna throw on camouflage and holster AR-15, and then I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for these officers, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and do what I do." You know, this ain't the first time they done got into it. I mean, the fact that they said she was scared for her life. You calling somebody a stalker, that means that you've been doing this for a significant amount of time. Enough time for them to give you that label. You allegedly set her vehicle on fire. I'm guessing they couldn't prove that, though.
Probably pretty certain, but yeah, I guess since they didn't get it on camera, they can't really say for certain.
That's wild. Especially if you ain't got a history with drama or issues with anybody else, but you're constantly having problems with that one person. Invest in cameras. Invest in cameras. This is not the time to be doing it. Also, make sure that you do your background check on people. You might. I don't even think people do that anymore. Do your background check on folks. You need to know who you are dealing with. Like, you really need to understand that they don't operate the way you do. Folks who are emotionally disconnected, they do not have the same rhyme or reason. So the way that you might communicate or try to break off or away from, how can I put this? Let's say you meet the person. Everything seems to be on the up and up. They're getting along, y'all laughing, except y'all go out a few times, everything is cool. Then you have one conversation about something that you both are passionate about, but they don't see it the way that you see it. Now, it's one thing to have objective or subjective opinions, but the way that they respond to it may tell you more than you know. It depends on how you hear it. So you have a discussion about this. They get their words out. Does it really register in your head? Like, oh, wait, hold up. This something ain't right about that. Or do you kind of just, we don't really get into it like that. It's not that big of a deal. I can probably let that slide. I mean, who agrees on everything? And in some cases, that might be true. But I am a firm believer nowadays in taking those conversations more serious. Because 9 times out of 10, they're being honest with you about their stance on a specific position. And you have to unpack that and really ask, well, what else could there be here that we might end up bumping heads on over or later on? What triggers am I missing, or should I be looking out for? Like, dead serious. Something so simple. You might not think nothing of it. It could be everything.
It kind of makes me think about how a lot of killers, especially some of the well-known killers, such as I think Bundy was one of them, where people, like, across the board, people would say, like, oh, he was so wonderful, like, he was such a wonderful person. It's hard, and they were astonished that they could even be possible of doing what they did. So sometimes people have no signs at all because they hide everything inside them. One of the things about children who are neglected is they make a conscious effort to disappear because, or if you're yelled at, like if you have a parent that loves to be really loud and like, go to your room, like that type of parent, they also learn to recede inside themselves and be good and stay silent, because it's scary, like, to interact, and you're scared to put yourself out there. So that can typically result in kids that, as I said, try to disappear themselves, where they don't really try to have friends. They don't reach out to people. They don't emotionally reveal anything about themselves. They don't ever really get vulnerable with people. And when they do, they take it very, very, very seriously. And so when they're vulnerable with somebody and they lose that person, or the person like rejects them or whatever, they can have a very extreme reaction. So it could potentially, like, we obviously would need to know his history to kind of piece together more about his potential background, and kind of figure out the motive that way. But yeah, I guess we'll never really know unless he had writing and notebooks and stuff, which a lot of them do have. But again, every case is different.
Stop being so pressed to be in these relationships and these situationships. I think more and more I scroll and scroll and scroll, and the more I actually, I don't know, listen and actually read and pay more attention to the comment sections, and I actually listen to people talk. I might not have all the wording right there prepared for me to respond in certain situations, but I tell you, my deducting skills are pretty on par. And I'm gonna tell you, like, when you know, you know. I know there's a lot of folks right now that swear that they're wise beyond their years and they got it all figured out and they don't need this and they don't need that and yada yada yada. But your soul is screaming on the inside. You're yearning for something, or you're missing something, or you're 5 minutes away from destroying the planet.
Speaking of, they just found out that for the first time ever, they're finding plastic inside vegetables' flesh. There's tiny, tiny micro pieces of plastic in the cells of the plants that we're eating. They found them in like vegetables and stuff like that.
So if I was to grow my own stuff, would I still have that problem?
It depends on if there's plastics in the soil. It's unlikely if you're getting like garden soil from the store, but it's hard to tell because it's kind of everywhere now. Like it even comes off our clothes. If you wear anything that's like polyester or whatever, you shed like pounds of plastic over the time that you're wearing them. And or at least all your clothes, not just like one thing. That would be a lot of plastic. But yeah, we shed microfibers and microparticles of plastic. Like even every time you like use plastic wares and stuff, you'll get tiny pieces of plastic in your mouth as you're eating. You'll never detect it because it's like microscopic. But yeah, every time you use anything plastic, it can enter into your body. What companies get away with?
That's fun. Thank you, companies.
So if you're not going to get shot, you're going to get killed by something in your food.
Ooh. Yeah, sign me up. Hell yeah. Thank you. That's crazy, man. Look, my final thoughts. If you're willing to take someone's life and you're willing to stalk them, they're probably not the one for you. I don't think there's a human being on earth that if they actually cared and it was reciprocated, you would ever worry about harming yourself or harming other people. Nobody who cares about you is going to ever make you feel that way. And that's just besides the point. As an adult, whether or not you grew up with parents who were neglectful in areas that you needed them to be, you still have to do the work eventually. You're still going to have to figure out your shit. You're still going to have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself every single day, was I right? Was I wrong? Did I say something that I shouldn't have? Am I prepared to be in somebody else's life in the condition that I'm in? You can't bring hurt to nobody else. You shouldn't want to bring hurt to nobody else's life. Your ego, your attitude got to be checked at the door. You still got to have respect for authority. To like a bunch of people will be like, "Oh, you killed white people. It's white on white. Y'all be arguing about the wrong stuff." I know y'all be in the comment section saying like that should be bothering me. You'll be in the whole comment section under a tragic video talking about, "Oh, this is MAGA's fault," or "You should have." That's what they get for you. It ain't always black on black, is it? It's like that's not what the video was even about. What are y'all doing? Can we stick to the topic? Can we address the fact that somebody just lost their life? The post that I just made, black college student made fun of Charlie Kirk's death. I guess they were on like some type of tour or something, and somebody was recording it, and he literally was antagonizing and reenacting the shit like it was a performance. He got expelled from that college, and my stance on it was that was ignorant. I'm reading for one, I'm reading the comments. The comments are like, if this was a white person doing this, it would be something else. People need to grow up. Y'all need to mature, like seriously mature. Stay out of relationships if you don't want to be in them, or if you're not prepared. Period. If you know you got a lot of shit going on inside of you, fix whatever you got to fix before you step to people. I think by now we would have already figured that out. Anything you want to say before we get up out of here?
Have a short poem.
Shout outs. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, folks, the open mic returns.
Oh, good.
Yes.
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Cool. All right.
If y'all can make it out, you know you're more than welcome to pull up. I appreciate everybody for tapping in with us tonight. You will see me tomorrow morning. I'm going to let Cindy close us out here. Y'all already know what to do at the end. Let me give you the solo.
All right. Haven't named it yet. I wrote this while we were doing the podcast. Little boys play in the street, running wild, designer kicks, running in their fancy Jeep. Little boys play in the streets, running wild in sneakers cheap, kicking balls, in trees they leap. Little boys play in the streets, running fast from the police, pointing guns with dirty glee. Read nightly to your kids, play with them and teach. Give your child all your love or they die upon the streets.
Shout outs. You quick with it.
If it's rhymed, I can come up with it pretty fast.
I'm not mad at that at all. Shout outs.
Because I just look at synonyms and then I'll like kind of see the words that are similar and then I'll be like, all right, how can I turn this into a poem?
Exceptional. But look, I appreciate you for pulling up tonight. I will see you tomorrow. I miss doing the open mics, so this should be fun.
Same here.
Y'all enjoy y'all evenings. You know where to find me if you need me. I gotta get ready to create this little press run. They told me that I need to make a 30-second video and put together like this little compilation thing and pitch it to like my local news stations about the competition. So I'll be working on some of that tomorrow so I can send it out to people during the weekend. I'm trying to get it all done before the week starts. So thank you to everybody who pulled up and showed love. Yeah. We about to get up out of here though. Do me a solid before you leave.
What's the goddamn button back?
And we'll see you tomorrow.